everyone. Thank you for being on the call. Welcome to Mad Dash to 2022, the Recon and Estimator Project Manager track. Beth said it. I'm going to echo what she said. We have everyone muted due to the number of participants, and I'm going to stop our share of our faces once we get going. But we thank you so much for being on the call, okay? If you have any questions, there will be an option where you can put there's a little option where it says Q&A. Pop your questions in there, and that way we will address those. Jessie will be the one that is going to be addressing those questions as the presentation is going on, okay? If it's something that she feels that, hey, would be very beneficial, which they all are, right? Very, very beneficial, and we have time to get to it, we'll address it right then and there. Now, let me introduce Jessie Epling right there. Everybody say hi, Jessie.
Hi.
Jessie Epling
Hello,
lives here.
hello.
Jessie Epling lives here in Nashville, Tennessee. She's a senior implementation coach with NextGear Solutions, which is a CoreLogic company, right? She comes from PuraClean in the Nashville market, where she was a general manager over all of the office. She also helped with all the other divisions to help ensure efficiency and execution. Really heavy in program work. She is an integral part of what we do here and could not do this without her. My name is Matthew Parkerson. I live here in a suburb of Nashville, Tennessee. My background is from the industry and operations with multi-unit locations, right? And I am a senior implementation consultant that takes a company at a little bit higher level, right? I take it a little bit higher level to really mold this platform around your business model. And again, we thank everybody for being on the call, whether you're an enterprise user or not. We really thank you for being on the call. And welcome to Mad Dash to 2022, the Recon Estimator and Project Manager track. Now, I'm going to stop my video because we're about to get going, okay? I'm also going to hide there we are. Let's get going to this next slide here. And everybody should be following my little spotlight here to keep up with what we're doing. Now, first and foremost, we're going to talk about getting to a Mad Dash to 2022. And we're going to give you a challenge, right? We're going to give you a challenge to get there. What we have to ensure that 2022 is starting the right way. Now, please understand, me and Jessie brought this presentation together. I'm the one that is presenting it, but we did not come up with this. Yes, from our experiences, we have best practices. We have a lot of industry experience. We are experts at what we do, but we have gathered these best practices. We have gathered this action plan by the best in the industry. And let me be clear, the best in the industry is sitting on this call. That's every one of you. I saw names up and down that participant chatter that I have personally hung out with, that I know at an individual level and a professional level. And this is where we get this information from. So we thank you for that. Now, going into this challenge, you have to accept it. As a company, as an estimator, as a project manager, if I want to start 2022 the right way, accept this challenge, take it on. Now, we know that everyone on this call is not an enterprise user, but nonetheless, these are the best practices to start 2022 the best way possible. Does not matter your role. All of this is applicable to you in some form or fashion. Now, to make sure that you understand this, we here at NextGear Solutions, which is a CoreLogic company, we have one consistent message. We've had a lot of these presentations. Hopefully you've got to experience all of them. Accounting, watermet technicians, ownership, coordinator role, general manager, operations manager. We're dealing with the Recon Estimator track. There has been one consistent one consistent message. So your owner, your GMs, your accountants, your bookkeepers, your coordinators, they're all in unison getting this message. So we as estimators, we as project managers, we in that Reconstruction division, and let's be clear what that Reconstruction division is. It could be insurance restoration, it could be remodels, it could be roofing, right? Anything deals with the putback portion of it. Could be property improvement for some of our other franchises on the call. Every one of these is what the game plan is in this department. But this message has been a vertical line all the way up to your ownership. Now, let's start that challenge. Now, getting into 2022, I want to talk about what we've been through the last year, year and a half, 2 years. Boy, have we had a dynamic shift change. A little thing called COVID has completely changed our industry. Now, therefore, we have got to make some adjustments. The definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result. If I keep doing the exact same thing over and over and I think I'm going to get a different result, it's not going to happen. That's the definition of insanity. So we have come up with a game plan to where you can start 2022 and get rid of that insanity. Now, it takes 4 components, and it is going to take action from you, your office staff, your general manager, your ownership. You control what you can control, right? The very first thing we have to do in this game plan, now understand you're going to get a copy, let's stop right here. You're going to get a copy of this presentation. So I want you to take notes, please take notes, but understand you're going to get a copy of this. It's going to be in a PDF format. It's going to have a timeline for you. This is designed for you. What we have to do first is we have to plan it. What did we do good in 2021, right? Can we, as estimators, project managers, I've seen the people on this call, some office managers, some general managers, right? Some owners. What did we do good in 2021? Also, what needs to be changed? Do we have our goals? And you've got to challenge yourself. Some examples of those in the planning process, right? Your workflow. Your workflow. Let's go back and look at what was working and what wasn't working, right? Let's go back and see, hey, this did not fit. This is not helping us. This is white noise. Standard operating procedures in the planning. Now let's think about that. Every company on this call, every single one of you have SOPs, whether you know it or not. Whether you have them written down, whether you know it or not, we call those compliance. Please understand that. When you come to work and a water job gets called in, a reconstruction job gets called in, a roofing job gets called in, you have a protocol that you follow. Those are SOPs. Again, we call them compliance. So in that, in the planning aspect, what in our SOPs need to be changed? What needs to be edited? What timelines need to be extended, right? If I'm an estimator on this call, in my planet portion, right? Well, what's your work capture rate? If I went out and wrote 200 estimates, how much of that did I capture? Now, what constitutes capture? Work authorization constitutes capture, right? If I'm an estimator or a project manager or a site super, doesn't matter your role, all 3 of you are responsible for bringing in revenue. That's your invoice dollar amount, right? What am I as project manager A responsible for producing revenue on a monthly, a quarterly, a biannually basis? How much revenue am I responsible for? What did I do in 2021? What can I get to in 2022? My profit margins. I closed out all my jobs with a 38% gross profit. Well, you know, 2022, let's aim for 42%, right? Your POMs, your cycle times, all of this is in the plan it phase. Then we slide over to the clean it phase. Now we're going to have timelines for you to do this. So understand that we're going to have timelines for you to do this. Excuse me while I get a sip. Understand it is going to be extremely hard to achieve these goals that we're aiming for, the goals that we've set forth. It's going to be extremely hard to achieve these goals without having clean data to manage it. And let me be clear. I know there's a lot of people on this, well, there's a few people on this call that aren't enterprise users. It doesn't matter what job management system you're on, enterprise hands down being the best. If you're on the archaic file folder system, you have whiteboards on the wall. We have our pending sales, our WIP, our AL, and Nationwide in blue, right? State Farm in red, Liberty Mutual in, let's say, brown. If someone doesn't have a dry erase marker, if someone's not updating those archaic file folders, that data is going to be bad, right? We want to start 2022 with clear and manageable data. With bad data, it is impossible to work efficiently. Now, what's data? Documents, notes, photos, budgets, dates, timestamps, emails, all of that is data. Now, after we've planned it, after we've cleaned it, and now that we are ready to manage it, now that our data is clean, what audits and what action plans do I have in place to help me perform better? I've worked with a lot of companies where they are throwing punches that do not land. What audits, what action plans, what do I have in place to help me perform this plan that we've set forth, right? What am I looking at daily? What am I looking at daily in my job management system? What am I looking at weekly in my job management system? What am I looking at monthly in my job management system? Is it raw data reporting? Is it BI reporting? But you've got to have these checks and balances to ensure that we are operating effectively and efficiently based off our plan. Now, we've planned it out. We've cleaned it up. Starting 2022, now we're managing it just like a game, right? This is what most people fail on, validating it. How often do we sit down monthly and look at what was my work capture rate in the month of January, February, March? How many estimates did I write? How many of those did I close, right? What tools do I have in place to not let something slip through the cracks? How much revenue as a project manager did I invoice in January, in February? If my goal is to get to 1.2 million, well, simplified, you've got to invoice roughly 100K a month, right? That's simple. And you as a project manager that are executing, and that may be the estimator, understand, okay? That may be the estimator or the site super. You have got to get that work done for us to build that revenue. This is where we don't get the follow-up. So now let's break this plan down a little bit more so it's manageable. Now, please understand, we're going to send you a copy of this presentation so you will have all of this. Again, take the notes, do that, but please understand you will get a copy of this. Now let's break this down. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the planet phase. And yes, you are part of the planet phase, right? You are. In the planet phase, we have to review our workflow, and we want all of this done by November 15th. So guess what? When this call is over, game on. You have to plan it. You have to go to your workflow, export it to Excel, figure out what's working, what's not working. We're going to go into best practices in a live database on how to say, okay, well, I don't know what's working or what's not working. Well, we're going to go into a live database and we're going to give you some best practices so you can see, okay? In reviewing this workflow, what is working, what is not working, export it to Excel for your reconstruction division, for your roofing division, for your property improvement division, for your, if you have a flooring division, right? Now, understand this may not be the easiest thing and you may not have access to it. That's why we have 2 consultants that work for us full-time in implementation. In the implementation process, there are 2 full-time consultants that are industry experts and enterprise experts in what we do. Jason Zachariason and myself. You will get this where you can click this and it will be a link to our calendar. Let us help you. One is when you go to workflow, it can look a little cumbersome, not to us. 2 is we've done this over and over with companies. Let's hear your business model. Let us, based on our experience, say, okay, it might be a good idea if we implement this flow. So we need to review step 1. Now, review is different from establishing. Step 2 is establishing. What are SOPs that we are trying, and an SOP is a standard operating procedure, okay? What SOPs do we need to establish for 2022 that will ensure that plan that we've set forth? Now, a couple things I want to talk about here. You build it for the rule, not for the exception. Can't tell you how many times I hear, well, what if this happens? What if this happens? Well, guess what? We're in a world of what ifs. We do not build it for the what ifs. Perfect example. You need a workflow that once we have submitted that estimate to whoever's approving it, usually an adjuster, a property manager, a homeowner, you have X amount, should not exceed 5 days to get it approved. Should not exceed 5 days. Well, that adjuster may not approve it for 10 days. Well, what if the adjuster doesn't approve it in 5 days? So I'm not going to change my standard. As a company, we're not going to change who we are because adjuster A isn't doing their job correctly. We're going to build it for the rule. We're managing the rule. You manage the job. You document when you followed up with them. So when we are establishing our SOPs, we build them for the rule. Perfect example is that. And an SOP needs to be very simplistic. Make it manageable, start small. On a reconstruction job, you got 11 SOPs that should be kicked out the gate. Contact, arrive, work authorization, estimate, approval, budget, start, complete, COS, invoice, paid. That's 11. I'll say that again. Contact, arrive, work off, or approved estimate, right? Approval on that, budget, start, complete, COS, invoice, payment. That's what we're aiming for right there. Now, we do understand you as a company may have other things that you want to add into that. That's understandable. But when you're starting any standard operating procedure, if you micromanage it to death, it's going to be so much white noise. Let us help you with that. But you have to establish your SOPs for your department. Roofing will be different than reconstruction. Remodel, property improvement will be different from insurance restoration. That's step 2 in your planning process. Step 3, establish your individual and departmental goals for 2022. Right now, pull a report that says my revenue year to date. Well, in 2022, you better beat that, right? I don't ever go into the next year thinking, okay, I'm just going to stick with what I had, right? I've never heard of a company say, I don't want a sales increase, right? Establish your goals, individual and departmental goals. And your GMs are going to need your help. Hands down. They are going to need your help. Also, look at your gross profit goals. You as project manager A, site super A, estimator A, you performed X amount of jobs and you close these all at a 42% gross profit. Well, what happens if you gain 3 points right there? What happens if I can execute this at a 45% gross profit with a higher revenue? Pay raises, bonus commissions, better opportunities for our company. Another goal that you need to establish as an estimator, and if you don't have it, this is huge. You go out to X amount of jobs, how many of those are you capturing? Right? Are you at a 75% rate? Are you at an 80% rate? Or are you at a 42% rate? Because if you're at 42, you're costing us money. What about your cycle times, right? So here, step 1, review your workflow. Step 2, establish it. Establish those SOPs for 2022. And you as estimator project manager, you are integral to that. You've got to relay that information. Step 3, establish your goals, realistic goals. Now let's slide over here. Then we move to the clean it phase. We've planned it because that is step 1. You've got to plan it. You've got to plan it. Step 2, clean it. And we want this done by January 1st. You're going to get a timeline that's going to break these dates down even more. Clean it. Don't enter 2022 with bad data. Don't have bad habits starting. We all have New Year's resolutions. Let's make some of those professional, please. Step 1, clean up your job tasks. Now, what is a job task, you ask? I'm going to tell you anyway, right? We all come to work. We all start our day with a to-do list. My life has a to-do list. I have a sheet of paper every Monday morning. I fill out the 30 to 40 things I have to do. I do P1, P2, P3 beside them. I sure wish I had an enterprise job that would help me with that. I don't have enterprise for my life. Job tasks are things that we, as estimators, project managers, site supers, we ensure no ands, if, or buts about it, that we've got to get done that are not compliance related. Meet adjuster to go over supplement, meet homeowner for flooring selections, meet subcontractor on job site to go over the scope of work. Those are job tasks with specified dates and times to ensure that we're getting it done. And we're going to teach you how to manage it. But if you go into 2022 with bad job tasks, it's a moot point. And if you write it on a to-do list, good luck keeping up with it. Step 2, clean up your compliance. We're going to get into that. How do we clean up all those SOPs that for a long time ago where it says arrive on site, and that was 87 days ago? That job's closed and done. We're going to clean up our compliance. That is what I'm referring to, is not a coordinator's responsibility, it's not a GM's responsibility. You take the ownership of it. Step 3, clean up your dashboard. We're going to get into a job dashboard that is going to have statuses. It's going to show your business inside of a business. Every one of you run a business in a business unless you're an owner on this call. Your owner is entrusting you sometimes upward $2 to $3 million of business for you to bring in, for you to bring that in at a gross profit, right? This job dashboard carries you from the time we receive it to the time we close it, hopefully in a timely manner if I'm managing daily, with that magical word in the middle called a profit. Profit is not a bad word. Get used to it. Lastly, we have to clean up all of our old jobs. We're going to get into a best process here, right? When you go through your job dashboard, your job's lacking interaction, whether it be the pre-built report or a customer report we give you, you're going to mass close your old jobs. The majority of you on this call do not have access to closed jobs, nor should you have access to closed jobs. But you're going to shoot a note over to that applicable party, whether it be a coordinator, a GM, and owner, and say, hey, close this job, data cleanup. Close this job, bad data. Step 1 and step 2 are plan it, clean it. Because if I go to 2022 with bad data, just like going into 2022, I'm a big soccer fan with a bad soccer player with a bad attitude that doesn't bring value to my team. Now let's break this down a little. This is the game plan of how to achieve it. This is the visual you can print to ensure you're hitting the goals. This, plan it and clean it. Do you see this? It is of the utmost importance. By next Friday, you need to have your workflow reviewed. Guess what? Your owners are getting the same message. Have your workflow reviewed. By the following Friday, you should have established SOPs. Roll your sleeves up. Guess what? Stay an extra hour one day and let's go over what's going to benefit me in the long run. By the following Friday, we want you to have on November 12th, your individual and department goals established. And if you're reporting in enterprise is bad, go to QuickBooks and pull out your revenue. Go to Sage and pull out your revenue, what you did year to date, right? Break that down amongst 4 quarters. We're almost done. We're getting towards the latter part of October. You have 2 months left in this year. And the majority of you run your business calendar with a calendar year. So by that Monday, we want you done and over with the planet phase. You got a month, right? Today's October 15th. You have 1 month to get the planet phase done. Then we go to the clean it. By 11/19, that Friday, we want your job task cleaned up, and we're going to give you best practices, so don't worry, okay? Then we're going to take a little bit of a break here because we got a big holiday in here, right? Thanksgiving. By Friday, December 3rd, we want your compliance cleaned up. By Friday, December 10th, we want your job dashboard, your altitude cleaned up, the mask, we want the statuses right, we want everything right. By December 31st, we want all those jobs out of the way, the old garbage data that doesn't help us. If I have jobs in collection, they do not need to be in the pipeline of your estimator, your project manager. It doesn't do them any good. They don't do anything on it, right? So we mass close our jobs, and guess what? January 1st, 2022, Happy New Year, game on. So that's the plan it, clean it phase. We'll get into some practical application here in just a minute. But then we move to the manage it phase, right? The manage it phase. So we're starting 2022, game on. Well, how do I manage? How does enterprise help me manage my day? How does it help me execute what needs to be done? I wish I saw by a show of hands and faces who has set their dashboard up to what they need to look at daily, what they need to look at weekly. Your standard operating procedures, your compliance. It's associated to the division. It's associated to the stage of the job. You have to look at that daily. Your reconstruction calendar, whether that be in-house or subcontractors. And if you're using another calendar, you really need to take an internal check, because another calendar may not offer transparency for everyone in your company. Another calendar makes me go to a different platform that I'm probably paying for. If I go to another calendar, it is not linked to the job. Our calendar is designed for the restoration industry, directly linked to the job, to kill two birds with one stone. When we're done with that task, it timestamps it. So if I go to court, guess what? Game on, I was here, I got done here. It also notates the job and gives visibility. That's for my in-house and my recon. You have to manage that daily, because everyone else in your company needs to see it. My job's lacking interaction, right? I have to look at that daily. I'm not knocking water. If you're in the water department and you're here, I'm going to use you an example because I love you. You bring in a lot of money to our companies. But you're married to that customer for 3 to 5 days. You are married to that customer for 3 to 5 days, and it's a standard, it's a protocol, it's a science. They even have a S500 that guides you there. And that's phenomenal. What you do is amazing. We are married to that customer for 3 to 5 months. And it's not going back for day 2 moisture readings, not going back for day 3 moisture readings, not getting a COS. Well, we do get the COS. Ours is a little different. We have 1,000 things that has to happen. Do a walkthrough with a homeowner, look at change orders, get selection sheets, get your schedule, get your budget, go over scopes with adjusters, get your supplements done, right? Progress invoice, upfront money, material staged on the job. And these are just a few of the things. So this job is lacking interaction here. If you utilize it properly, whether you like it or not, things are going to slip through the cracks. I don't care how good you are. This job's lacking interaction gives us, if we have not had interaction on that loss, and usually the standard's 5 days, well, guess what? It's going to pop right up there for you. Hey, something needs to happen here. Something needs to happen here. And we have to look at that of one of 2 ways as an estimator, project manager, site super. One, that homeowner's still in pre-loss condition, and in 5 days, no one has spoken with them, and that's unacceptable. 2, if we go to court and I haven't touched this job in my court-ready documentation, which is your enterprise platform, in 2 months, good luck getting paid. Good, and I've been there too many times. I know it. We have to manage that daily. Last, you got to manage your job tasks, our to-do list. We've already talked what those are. We have to do these daily. Build your homepage to do that. Also, update your mobile, which we're getting to next. And I want to stop here and I want to talk mobile. How well do you know our mobile app? Let's think about today's world. 80% of my life is managed mobile. My soccer schedule, and I coach 3 soccer teams. My travel, my family calendar, my communication from the teachers with the kids, the way I communicate to my soccer teams, the way I do my finances, paying bills and looking at all of that's mobile. Every bit of that, Facebook, social media, my shopping is done mobile. Why are we not taking that to the professional standpoint? Why are we not saying, you know what, as an estimator, project manager, site super, 75% of what I do is in the field. Unless you're an in-house estimator, I'll give you that leeway, right? 75% of what I do is in the field. Why would I come back to the office to update? Get to know the mobile app. To the project managers, estimators, site supers that utilize it, they can't live without it because they know it. We're not a pen and pad society anymore. COVID has completely changed that. Now, in your mobile, are you updating the jobs before you leave? Are we updating our compliance tasks, looking at our job tasks, looking at our calendar, who's booked here the next day, right? I can look at my in-house and my recon calendar inside of the mobile app. I can look at my job tasks and say, oh, you know, in 2 days, I got to meet this adjuster to go over the scope. In 4 days, I got to meet this policy holder to go over flooring selections. I can create my to-do list in the mobile. Am I looking at my compliance? Look, I'm late on getting this estimate approved by 15 days because I built that standard to the rule, not the exception, right? The COS, I'm 10 days late. Well, that homeowner's been in Florida. They told me they'd be back today. I need to call them right now. Are you using the mobile app? There is absolutely not one thing in the world that is going to give you a swoop 5 hours back in your week. You know what's going to get you your 5 hours back? Little short 5 to 10 minute increments by doing this. So we have to manage daily, use the tools, which moves us to managing weekly. What outside of our daily tasks do we have to keep an eye on? Well, once you've established your goals with clean data, build reports that will help you focus on this. And I want to stop right here. Jessie Epling on this call has accepted the challenge. You're going to get her email address. You spend time with her. She will build these reports with you, build your homepage with you to ensure that this is happening. Status reports. Why do we break down jobs in pending sales, pre-production, WIP, completed without paperwork? Why do we do that? Other than being the life cycle of a job. Claude, if I was to throw you right now, every job you have that you're running, boy, that's a bit overwhelming. Whoa. Wow. That's a whole lot to manage at one time. But if I break these down, and these are the ones I have to follow up on to get approval. These are the ones I have to talk to subcontractors, get flooring selections, do my budgets. And if I associate these to individual days throughout that week, these are the work in progress where I have to ensure the target completion date is happening. I have to ensure my subs are there. I have to ensure that my budget's online, right? These are the jobs I'm done with. I need a COS. And we're going to show you how to put that on your calendar to manage it daily, weekly, and monthly. A couple other things you're looking at. Everybody's responsible for collecting money. Everybody. What day of the week are you dedicating 1 hour to following up with adjusters, property managers, homeowners for your money? Or is it just on a random phone call? If it's on a random phone call, you're not good at collections. You're just not. Yes, revenue's invoice, but we need that money. Now your hourly labor week to date and your open POs for subs here, we're going to get into that in the BI reporting here shortly. Now we talk about manage it monthly. Well, you got to manage your target completion date. What's the #1 complaint in the reconstruction facet of this industry? The #1 complaint. It's not communication. You would think it would be. You were here longer than you said you were going to be here for. Or you didn't tell me how long you were going to be here for. You cannot start a job without an expectation of completion. If we are not updating that weekly and reviewing it monthly to say, am I going to hit 1030? If not, bite the bullet, call the homeowner. We're going to be out by November 15th. Call the adjuster, push it back. A homeowner will be a lot happier with that because as soon as they hear 1030 the first time, guess what they're going to expect? You're done and over. Right? That has to be managed weekly or monthly. Hit your individual, take a look at your individual and your department goals monthly. That's that, like, if I'm not looking at it right, if I wait till, if I want to say I want a work capture rate of 75%, and I start that in January, but I don't look at it until October, good luck. If I say my goal is to get a gross profit of 45% on all my jobs, and I don't look at it until October, good luck. You have to review this monthly. Me as a project manager, my expectation to max bonus to get promoted is to produce $1.2 million of revenue a year. Well, if you look at that in October for the first time, good luck. You have to manage that monthly. How am I doing? What do I need to focus on? And most importantly, once a month, you need to take a look at your subcontractors and your in-house team members. What are our needs? whose information is going to expire, right? We've got to look at that once a month. We build you a document report that has all of your subcontractors on it and the document that's going to expire. Review it at the first of every month. Make the outgoing phone calls. Hey, you can't work for me unless I get your updated workers' comp. Also in that meeting with your ownership and your upper management, because they're not going to know. You as estimators, you as project managers are the ones, and site supers. And if I don't have your job title, I apologize. You are the one that knows your needs. You know what we need from a standpoint. You're also going to want to know the ones that, hey, we don't schedule them again. Right? If I'm not reviewing this monthly, your target completion date is going to never hit its mark. It's not. Add this to your homepage. You have to manage that aspect of what you're doing monthly. Now, let's slide over here. We've already planned it. We've cleaned it. We're managing it daily. We're managing it weekly, and we're managing it monthly, right? Then I have to validate it. I have to. I have to validate what I'm doing. Your validation comes in these facets: monthly, quarterly, yearly. You may do biannually, right? So I'm an estimator, right? Standard for an estimator. If I'm estimating a loan, you better be bringing it to me, right? And I'm not, that means I'm not producing, I'm getting it approved. Okay. All I'm doing is going out writing and at least 1.5 at a minimum, right? Well, am I hitting that goal? As a project manager working for that estimator, I hopefully am doing 100K of revenue a month. Well, am I hitting that goal? The only way you're going to know, and if your ownership or GM don't want to do it for you, we're going to give you the tools on how to find out. You have to review that monthly. You have to. Then we look at the quarter. Okay, I need 1.2 million, right? You know what? In first quarter, I brought in 450K of revenue. I closed out $450,000 worth of invoices. You've got to review it. You've got to validate it. Okay. Take a look at your goals. Did you hit the gross profit monthly that you were aiming for? Right. And let's break this down at a more micro level, right? Me as project manager should be achieving a 40% minimum gross profit, 42 to 55. Now, I'll give a little leeway if we do a lot of TPA work, franchise work, right? We can bring that percentage down because we got to ledger that at the job level. But if we come in here and we are aiming for a 40% better, and some people are a little bit lower than that, and I understand that based off your business model, your overhead, I'm just giving aggregate numbers. So if I'm over here and my goal is to achieve a 45%, that's the standard I put on myself. I want 45% gross profit on all my jobs. I'm already at 450K. Oh, let's go back here. Apologies. I closed out $450,000 worth of revenue. I invoiced $450,000 worth of revenue in quarter one, but I hit it at a 38% gross profit. Well, okay. Take the hit. You're done and over. The next 3 quarters, what do you need to focus on? Right? If I am not reviewing this, and if I reviewed it monthly, January I was at 38, well, you better guarantee in February and March, I'm going to be better. But if I'm not reviewing this, if I'm not validating my results against my plan, it's a moot point. It really is. Your work captured rate. I would love to know how many owners on this call have a goal for work capture rate on their estimators. I'd really like to know that. Also, are you taking a look at your cycle times? What's your average amount of time to get on site? Your average amount of time to get the estimate approved? For the project managers on this call, the people that are running the jobs, how long till you get the job do we actually click start date? What is that hold time, right? How long is that homeowner in limbo? Are we looking at that on a monthly basis, a quarterly basis? What can we do to shrink that time frame? So let's kind of review what we went over. And we're going to switch over to a live database here in just a second. And what we reviewed is we have to have a plan for 2022. We have to. You got to have your plan for 2022. We've got to review our workflow, step one. What's working, what's not working. Step two, we've got to establish good standard operating procedures, and your upper management will not know that without your input. Step three, we've got to have goals. Now, I know a couple of owners on this call that have goals for their teams. I know that. If I don't have a goal for an estimator or project manager walking in, what it's like literally, what am I walking into? So once you have planned it, you move to the clean it. We don't want old job tasks. We don't want old compliance. We don't want jobs in wrong statuses. We don't want old jobs. Clean it. Then we move to the manage it phase, and you have to manage daily. What do I have to do daily? We have to manage, what do I have to manage weekly? And then what do I have to manage monthly? That brings us to the validated standpoint. What I manage daily, what I manage monthly or weekly and monthly, what I managed, how did that do against our plan? Did I achieve these? Did the SOPs work? Are my cycle times okay? Or do we need to make a quick shift and adjust some things? You're never going to know that until you validate it. Be clear, you only need to clean it one time. You have to plan it every year. You will plan every year. And right now is about a good time to plan for 2022. Okay. Come 2023, about October is when you're planning for 2023, right? But you only need to clean it one time. I don't go in and clean all that bad data up only to do it again in 2022. Okay. Now, all of this is data, and we've talked about this. What is data? Documents, dates, notes, photos, emails, budgets, invoices, payments. All of that is data. Estimates. And remember, all of this is in a vertical line up to your ownership. This is one unified message. Now, a couple of things before we hop over to a live database. I want to make sure that you have 3 email addresses here. If it comes to a consulting standpoint, when you get this PDF, which will be there, that we will have emailed out to you. This will be converted to a PDF and it will be emailed out to you so you can print the slides as you see fit, make notes as you see fit. You will have a direct link to mine and Jason Zachariason's calendar. That's what we do for the company, right? You can book that. That's consulting. If you want to get into, hey, I want to build these reports. I love what you're getting into. Or, hey, we didn't cover that I do a lot of plumber work. I need to adjust a report based on this. Or a TPA work because I do a lot of this. You have Jessie Epling's email address right here, okay? And she is great at it. We could not do this without her. And lastly, if you have any inquiries about what we've gone over or the BI reporting that not everyone on this call subscribes to, and hopefully at the end of this, you're like, well, we're getting this, boss. At the end of this, email events@nextgearsolutions.com. Now, we thank you for looking at the presentation. Now, for the last 30 to 35 minutes, we're going to hop over to a live database. So bear with me for 2 seconds here.
And hey, Matthew, I answered it in the chat, but I think it might be a good thing to kind of recap. Samuel asked, could you state the 11 steps in the basic cycle of reconstruction again?
So when we look at the 11 steps there, we're looking at contact, arrive, work authorization, right? Which could come after estimate approval, but you still got to have a work authorization. Submit your estimate, estimate approved, budget, start, complete, COS, invoice, paid. That's it. Those are standards. Now, based off your business model, you may do a lot of program work, which we're going to get into, right? I may do a lot of program work. And is there anybody on this call that does a lot of program, right? You put your hand up, whatever. Yeah, you do a lot of program work. Adam, do you have to give a weekly update every time on your construction jobs? Yes or no? Yes, you do. Trust me, I did, golly, probably 3,000 program reconstruction jobs that I oversaw. So in that, you have to give a weekly update so we can build a piggyback workflow based off the size of the job every Monday, weekly update, or whatever day you choose, right? And then as soon as you complete that task, it fires for 7 days later, I need a weekly update. 7 days later, I need a weekly update. Those are called piggyback workflows. That's a new feature that we've implemented that a lot of companies aren't aware of. Because I don't want all 11 of those simplified fire all at once. I don't want a fire hydrant opening up. I don't want for the next 32 weeks to see weekly updates. No. I want when I finish step 1, it goes to step 2. When I finish step 2, it goes to step 3. Great question. All right, we are going to hop over to a live database. So can someone confirm that you are in my, that you're seeing a database here? You're seeing my mouse move around?
We are. Yep.
Now we're going to mirror this live database directly what we went off of previously, right? Plan it, clean it, manage it, validate it. Now validate is going to have a lot to do with BI and your reporting. So the very first thing we have to manage is our workflow working? Well, there's an easy way to find that out. If I go over here and I go to my compliance manager, right? I'm going to open up my compliance. As I'm opening up my compliance, I can go take a look at what's working and what is not working. Well, how do I do that, you say? Well, I go over here to compliance. This is the compliance for the entire company. If I want to choose me and just me, I am in this system as Estimator 1, right? I'm logged in as Estimator 1. I have 3 days to change my password too. I am going to filter that just by me. Now, if you are an estimator or project manager that works both divisions, you may filter your division just to structure or whatever that division, reconstruction, whatever it's called for your company, right? So I'm killing it in water. I don't want any changes there, or it's not my call to make changes there, right? I just want to see structure so you can filter that. So this is going to give me all of my outstanding tasks. That has nothing, that can help me a little bit, right? With reviewing my workflow. And why are we doing this? Because data doesn't lie. I love when I go into a company and I'm the best estimator, I sell more than anybody else. Okay, prove it to me. Prove it to me. And yeah, they're usually up there, but they're never the best. Ever the best. Data doesn't lie. So what I'm going to do here is go to Estimator 1. I'm going to go to my completed task, right? I'm going to take a look here. Is there something I keep rejecting over and over that just doesn't make sense? And understand we have our little key here, completed on time, completed late, and rejected. Is there something that I keep rejecting over and over and over and over that doesn't need to fit, that doesn't fit where we are? 2, is there something that I am completing late over and over? And you can filter by all these action titles over and over again, right? Is there something that I'm rejecting and I'm late on over and over again? And maybe you want to sort that by the entire division, right? The entire company with all the structure division, right? Let's go over here, sort this, and let's take a look at our structure division. Is there something that historically is always late? Well, guess what? You know the first thing I'm going to do right there? We're going to look at that. Something's not working there. Okay? Something isn't working there. Not that it needs to be completely gone. Maybe the time frame doesn't work. Is there something historically that I'm always seeing that's late, right? Something that's always late. Well, maybe that's something just our time frame would be. You can also still go to your pending task, right? You can also go to your pending task right here and see, is there something out there that is historically late? right? Why are all these late? What here? Confirm, confirm. All these confirms seem to be late. Well, maybe my time frame isn't good enough. Maybe I need to adjust it. And I'm not stating adjust like we build it, like we adjust that. We build our SOP to the norm that we want, not the what if. But is your norm achievable? Remember, I said make it manageable, and start small. So if my expectation of getting a reconstruction estimate approved is 24 hours, good luck. No, it's not going to happen. It's just not. Now you may do 100% TPA work, and yeah, that could be realistic, but 24 hours probably still isn't going to happen. You'd probably need 48 to 72, right? So this is a best practice to come in here and look to see what is working and what isn't working. Now, in the planet phase for establishing your SOPs, you need, if you need help, get with me and Jason. We are industry experts. That's what we do. Meet with us, as well as put them in your system. It's kind of hard. And reporting. Now, you as an individual user, as an estimator project manager, you may not be able to pull the data. We'll get into that in BI here in a little bit. To establish those individual and departmental goals, you may not be able to pull the data off the top, like you as an individual user, as an estimator project manager, to pull out how much revenue did I do. We can show you, but I'll pull that out here shortly. Then after we've planned it, what's the next phase? Anybody tell me what the next phase is after we've planned it, after our plan for 2022? What is our next objective to start 2022 correctly? We planned it, we moved after plan it, we moved to what? I'll give you a hint. If any of y'all have kids, you're doing it every day. You clean it, right? The very first thing you have to do is clean up your job task, right? So if I go to my homepage, simplified to my homepage, at the very bottom, you are going to see your job task, your to-do list, which can also be managed mobilely. If I go to if it's a current action item within the 24-hour time span we're in, it'll be here. Look at all the past action items. I have 49 that I need to clean up. This is my to-do list. Literally, this is the to-do list that I have to do. The oldest one is from 2018, and I guarantee you, people on this call have this. You got to clean those up. We create job tasks to be successful in our to-do list. None of this deals with an SOP, right? None of it. All of this are things that we have to do that are outside of those standard operating procedures. So in that, what I have to look at here is, how do I mass clean these up? Well, you can go into each individual one and complete it or delete it, or get with your upper management, go to journal notes, go to job action items, choose that user, mass check and delete. Okay, that is going to be your best option. Okay. Now, the next thing that I'm looking at here is cleaning up our compliance. Well, yes, you can do that from your homepage, right? You 100% can. You can go into each individual one of these and try to clean it up, right? Because you know what? If I haven't uploaded photos in 28 days, right? Or if I haven't done specific things, and you may have some in here that are 180 days old. And I would bet that a few of you on this call could go to their homepage and be like, whoa, why do I have 280? Because you've never managed with compliance. You've never managed with your SOPs, right? So what I would want to do is I would want to clean it. Yes, you can go into each individual one of these and clean them up. But it's probably a lot easier, and I think I have it open here, no, to go to your compliance manager, So once I click that compliance manager, I can sort by my name and my division. Estimator 1 here. And go. From this standpoint, I can mass choose, but of course, uncheck the ones that are still applicable to you, please. And I can reject. Now, rejecting comes with a consequence. So when we're cleaning it and we're managing it, because that's what we're doing right now, rejecting comes with a consequence. If you reject it, it does one of two things. One, it goes away. You don't have anything to do from an SOP on that standpoint. So you have to shoot a note over to your coordinator, to your applicable company, or to your applicable party that closes jobs. Just simply come here and say, hey, put a note in, and we'll create a standard note, right? Please close job for whatever reason. You choose the job, close job for whatever reason, and send it over to your coordinator. So that's the one thing it does, but we have to be careful with rejection. If we are rejecting tasks on still active jobs, jobs that could be in WIP, jobs that could be in AR, maybe there's some dates we need. So we need to ensure that this job is completely gone before we up and reject every single thing, because maybe I need to go in and backdate some dates. Maybe I need to go in there and populate some dates. So, because remember, without a date of COS or out of date of majority completion, it's not going to trigger anybody to invoice the job at all. And I audited 3 databases this week. And on 4 jobs in my audit, we audited 10 jobs, 4 of the 10 jobs, and they wanted help with it. 4 of the 10 jobs literally had job cost on it without an invoice, and it was 6 months old just because it's been sitting there. Because someone rejected the task because that date that they missed, that data that they missed, affected everyone else in the company. Everyone else. And that estimator project manager, guess what? They were like, well, I've got a lot going on, I know. Well, that's because you don't have a plan. We're giving you the plan. So we've got to get in here and clean up our compliance to where it's manageable, right? And the last thing you want to clean up is your dashboard, right? When we come over to our job dashboard, right, and we're going to walk into what a dashboard is. This is the life cycle of a job. When a job comes to us, which I as estimator 1 have 73 open leads. I am managing right now from an estimate value $1.2 million worth of business inside of my company. That is part of a bigger company. I have $105,000 of revenue I need to collect on. I have collected 73,000 of that, 31,000 still out there. Well, I've got to clean up my dashboard. I've got to make sure that my pending sales are pending sales. My pre-production is pre-production. My WIP is my WIP. My complete without paperwork is my complete without paperwork. My invoice pending is what it is. My final AR is what it is. Apologies. So you can do that through a couple of different options. You have your jobs lacking interaction here, which is okay. But right now in your clean it phase, we also need to be looking at the manage it phase, right? We can kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. If I come here and I go to my home page, we have set our dashboard up for success. So if I go into my jobs lacking interaction right here to clean it, I've built my filters. I want a job status that does not contain closed. I don't want it in waiting for final closure because that means we've been paid in full. It only pertains to me as the estimator, and I deal with structure. Now, if you deal with roofing, if you deal with property improvement, yeah, you may have to change that to PI or RFG, whatever the suffix of that division is, and you apply. Now we have sorted this by we have built this report, which Jessie is phenomenal at. We have built this report that gives us our last journal note event, date, and time. And look at all this data here. Well, you know what? If this job is in October or September of 2018, don't you think that just needs to be closed out? Shoot a quick note over, close this job, bad data. But also too, if I'm coming in here and I get down to jobs that are active, right? Well, we received this on October 7th. I haven't inspected it. I don't have a work authorization. Come on now, I do. I just didn't update my data. So now I'm managing it too. So you have to look at it from that perspective. Kill two birds with one stone, because this will be part of the manage it phase, hands down. So kind of a recap, go clean up all your old job tasks, clean up your compliance manager, and clean up your dashboard to where the statuses are correct. We don't have jobs lacking interaction that are really, I mean, if something's an AR, yeah, that's fine. It's out of your control. But anything active that's in pending, pre, WIP, or completed probably doesn't need to be lacking interaction. That's the clean it phase. Now, in a live database, let's talk about manage it. So yeah, we've gone over to manage it daily, manage it weekly, manage it monthly. And that's a lot. I get it. That's a whole lot. But it's very achievable. So I'm going to go to my home page because that is my go-to. I need to look at that every day. I'm going to go to my personal calendar. Now look at the way we've set up our personal calendar here. And again, if you're using another calendar, I have to say, yeah, use it for your personal life. But why in the world would you use another calendar for your professional? Your job management is in enterprise. Your job management, everything you do from budgeting, even your accounting comes up. Why would I go somewhere else to manage my professional life? If you got a dentist appointment, no harm, no foul. Put that in your Google Calendar. I don't care. It's fine. But why would I go somewhere else to manage? Because right here, that's a direct link to that job. But let's talk about the calendar. So we've talked about when you manage it, you have to manage daily, you have to manage weekly, you have to manage monthly. Well, daily is pretty easy, right? Every day I have to do a daily data check. And let's talk about that. It's just like a workflow, just like an SOP. If you don't set up your professional life as an estimator project manager with that standard, you build it to the standard and you manage the what ifs, that this should happen every day, well, then guess what? You were throwing punches that probably aren't landing. In my daily data check, if I click on this, look, every day I'm looking at these specific things. Look at that. And I have a time frame when I'm looking at it. Every day. JLI, compliance, job task, in-house subs. Now, again, that may adjust based on your business and your role. We get it. Okay. But that hits me every single day. Every day I go here. This is what I'm looking at. JLI, compliance, job task, in-house sub schedules. Every day. And we have set that up for the entire month. Now, those are calendar events, right? Those are calendar events that reminds me what I need to do that show in your mobile app. Also, in setting that, we have specific things that we have to manage weekly. Statuses, right? WIP, target completion. Well, choose a day and a time frame when you want to manage those. So look, on Monday at 4, and again, we're just giving a guide of a time frame, right? Well, every Monday from 4 to 5, I manage my job status reports. That is the thing that I have to manage weekly to ensure that they are in pending or in pre, or what am I missing? What budgets need to happen? What estimates do I need to close, right? We're managing our job status reports because it's on my calendar. On Tuesday, when I'm managing this, I'm managing my data quality report. And we're going to get into what these reports are here shortly. I don't have nothing on Wednesday, right? Wednesday, I'm out. I'm out in the field making it happen. On Thursday, I'm managing my AR report, and that's huge. If you do not have a time set aside weekly to follow up on the money that you're owed, please do. Please 100% do, because you have to make those outgoing phone calls. Not just randomly because it pops in your mind. Then we also have it set up to monthly. Look, the last Monday of each month, we are reviewing our individual and departmental goals, our target completion dates, our sub-accreditation, right? Because I've laid out this plan. I have my daily, weekly, monthly in place. Now, if I miss a day, is it going to be the end of the world? No. But you have built this to the norm, not to the what ifs. Also on your homepage, if I go back here, we're talking about what do we manage daily? Well, look what I did. Daily, 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 daily. Step one's compliance, which will also be down here. What needs to happen? Man, I got to call this adjuster one more time to see if this estimate's approved. Guess what? You got to do it. Okay, you still got to do it. We don't complete it. Red isn't always bad. Red's just outside of our norm. Now, this red would be a cleanup. We have to manage our jobs lacking interaction daily. You have to. If I go in here and I take a look at this, and again, I'm going to filter it and I apply, I have to come in here. Now, this is in the cleanup phase, but imagine if this was active. Imagine if this was up to date and my last note was 7 days ago. Crap, I got to call that subcontractor to ensure he can start on Monday of next week. Okay. I have him on the schedule. It's just like I got to do my follow-up. Or I need to follow up with that adjuster, see if the supplement's ready. Or does the homeowner have their floor installations? Right? Because this is notating that something hasn't happened on this loss. Manage your recon schedule, right? So this is my recon schedule. If you're going to a different calendar, again, I ask why. Boom. I'm going to look at my in-house and my mint and recon. I've got my subs where they are. A little bit more real estate. Okay. I know that today is Friday. I've got Dave with Nevada Contractors. He's on the white job. Craig is on the Acra job, should be finishing up the trim today by lunch. And I got Dwyer doing a roof here. Now I'm double booked here, right? And I've got my in-house team members where they're going. And again, each one of these are a direct link to the job, but I have to manage it daily. And lastly, coming back to my homepage, and there may be some other things you manage daily. I get it. There may be that we add them to our homepage. Always start with daily first, then we go to weekly, then we go to monthly. And honestly, you could come in here and do weekly Monday, weekly Tuesday, weekly Thursday, weekly Friday, whatever works for you, but you have to do that. My job task. What if you have something that is within the 24-hour time span we're in, it'll be here. I come over here. I've got my job task that I have to follow up on. That has to happen daily. Okay.
Hey, Matthew, can I hop in here real quick?
You absolutely can.
We had a question that was essentially, does the calendar populate notifications like Outlook? So I've answered it. Essentially says it doesn't right now. I believe it's on the project path, but I just wanted to ask you live if you had any updates on the notifications for the actual calendar tasks.
No, you're going, we are working in to get a pop-up for it. It is in the mobile app. It'll be directly linked to the job calendar function here, but it doesn't kind of give that pop-up like notification reminder, but you do have the eligibility to export this calendar to an Outlook calendar if you want those notifications. Okay. And that's just some training we can get you linked up with. That's a really great question. So we've gone into the manage it daily. Now, and we're talking real life situations here. Well, now what about weekly, right? Well, there's certain things you have to manage weekly, okay? When I go into my weekly aspect of it, pending sales, if you're an estimator and you're not managing your pending sales, you are not going to have a good work capture rate. No one is good enough to remember in the back of their mind what they have to do. On Monday or Tuesday, whatever day you choose, this day of the week or twice a week, I am following up on the leads that I have written or need to write. And again, we break these apart in statuses so it's easier to manage. Sale, estimator contains one, job number, I apply, and we have this sorted from the oldest to the newest. You know what? I ain't even been on this job. Let's close it, right? But on this job right here, I sent that estimate on October 1st. We need to find out what's going on with this lead. I need to make these phone calls to where my notes are up to date. All the data that is there is up to date. As an estimator right here, I've got some dang estimates to write and some to inspect. Now let's go into the pre-production. Pre-production is that holding phase, right? When an estimate's approved or we have a work authorization, we just don't swing hammers. We don't. If you do, you're not going to hit your budget. With that aspect, what we do is we go in and we have material selection sheets, a budget, we have a schedule we have to accomplish. Well, here's my pre-production. Okay. I've built my filters based off of that. And I look at this and say, okay, right? Here's what we have going on. It's sorted by the last journal note, date, and time. You can also sort this by, let's take a look at this in the pre-production. Sort it by your date of work authorization. Let's get into something realistic over here, right? This homeowner right here, Melinda Sander, she signed a work authorization on September 21st. We are almost a month in and she's still in pre-loss condition. Now, again, this is a training database, but that happens. What can I look at and say, I've got to find time to dig out. I've got to dig out some time to work on my budgets, to talk to those subcontractors. But if you don't have this checks and balances in place, you're throwing punches that do not land. Now let's go to our WIP, right? If I'm going into my WIP right here, a couple things I want to look for. Okay, by progress, by the job number, the estimator, and I hit apply. So in this aspect, take a look here. How am I managing an expectation if I don't have a target completion date? Again, I've got to update this information. Got to. Am I going to be done by 10/27? Now, the way to filter these a little bit, which you can get plenty of training on, what? I can add another filter. I want to come in here to my target completion date, where that is between anything in October. What jobs am I supposed to be done with in October, right? And I apply. Well, me as project manager A, me as estimator A, you know what? I have an expectation of completing this on 10/27. I have an updated job completion percentage. This data needs to be updated and it's giving me what I need to know. Is that going to happen or is it not? And all of these are saved to my homepage. Now, we also have completed without paperwork. Look at this one. And these are things that we manage weekly. If I hit apply, now this is showing me my jobs. I got a COS on this date. I mean, I've finished the job on this date and I still don't have a COS, right? So this is going to show you how long it's been since we finished the job to get a COS. Hit your priority, get it in there because that'll give us our final invoice. Now there's some other areas that you want to manage weekly. right? We want to do a data quality check. You as an estimator, you as a project manager, you spend more time with that homeowner and adjuster than anyone else in the company. Anyone else. You have a better relationship, or hopefully a good relationship, with that homeowner or that property manager more than anybody else in the company, because you've been there. You've had to build that relationship. We've already talked about it. You're married 3 to 5 months. On a large loss, you could be married for 2 years. So you being married to that claim, how well are you putting data in that affects everyone else in your company, including yourself? How often do I come over here and do a data quality check? All right, I want to sort all the jobs that have come in since August 1st to today, right? Today's October 15th, and I want to apply. So when I come in here to look at this, look, I've got 2 jobs that don't even have adjusters on them. Do you have any clue how important it is to have the adjuster on the job with email and the phone number? Because all I have to do is go to my Bubble app and click a button. If I put a note in, I can tag them on it, right? But if I choose, I went to this claim, and when I went out there, this was a lead I went to look at. There was no claim number. There was no adjuster. It is my responsibility to update that. Mine, because I'm the one that got that information. Not only is it going to affect you operationally, it's going to affect everyone else in your company. It will make your job more efficient. Now, there's some other things we want to look at, like, right, I've already gone into the target completion date, your open POs. That'll get into more of a BI perspective, which we're going to get into. But definitely something you want to spend time on. Look at this. If I go to my AR report right here and I apply it, what I've done here, this is the biggest balance due. And the last time I made a note on that was in June, right? Use this as a tool to come in here and follow up with whoever needs to be followed up with. And if I'm doing my data quality checks right, I'm going to have a carrier. I'm going to have an adjuster. But you have to book that time in your week. You have to. Now, we've talked about manage it daily, manage it weekly, and manage it monthly, or now we're moving to manage it monthly. So let's go over here, and I want to get into manage it monthly by this. Your subcontractor management, right? Your needs. We literally have in the system an option here where I could sort what is expiring in the month of November. I can do a between date, and it's going to pull up every subcontractor that has a general liability or workers' comp, whatever we have for them, their insurance, that is their accreditation, their legalities that are expiring. Or you have a lot of old that we need to update. That has to be managed monthly. In this process, we need to go to our contact manager. We need to start looking at, hey, what subs are active? What do we need to get this plan accomplished? So all of these are on your homepage that will help me manage my day, to manage that plan, to manage it weekly, to manage it monthly, to ensure that I'm hitting those goals that I set forth. Now, the next area I'm going to go into, not everybody here has access to it, okay? So when I come in here to look at this, I just want you to understand, I got to go to my dashboards here. This is business intelligence reporting. Not everyone is going to have access to this. We strongly suggest that you try to go to your upper management, because you're about to see the power that this gives us. This is BI reporting. Okay. What you just looked at earlier is raw data reporting. Well, take a look at this. I'm looking at my 2020, and I want to point out here, if my 2020 data is bad, your reporting is going to be bad. That's why you have to manage it. In 2020, Estimator 1 had a 72% capture rate. Estimator 2 had a 66.7. I can get, and these are all reports that we can do individually, and we can do other reports. These are just some good examples for your role. And a 2020 revenue comparison by estimator, look. This is what this estimator one did in estimate value. Right here in black, this is what we invoiced. This is your budget. This is your cost. I've got all these metrics right here. These are the cycle times. Literally, my average days to on-site as estimator one is 16 days. Whoa. Average days to approval. So when you're reviewing your workflow and you're reviewing your SOPs, look at that right there. Look at the data that is giving you. That's business intelligence reporting. I come down here, I take a look at this, claims, days, and pending sales, right? As an estimator, I literally have all these jobs in front of me. And remember, in raw data report, I have a pending sales bucket. But I don't give you this in pending sales bucket. Look what BI gives me. This job has been in pending sales for 60 days. 60 days. Right? This is right here. And again, each one of these reports can be built individually for you. In addition to that, with business intelligence reporting, these reports can be emailed to you on a specified date and time to your liking. Managing from the field. Come down here and take a look at it. As an estimator one, I've got a whole lot of jobs that don't have activity, right? In the last 7 days. Estimator two is doing a lot better than me. Jobs with no activity in the last 30 days. Look at this. I've got some I've got some bad data here. I've got to do a massive cleanup. I mean, a massive cleanup. So in my planet, game on. In my clinic, game on. I've just looked at my planet up there with my 2020, which your data could be 2021, right? I've got what I need to focus on with revenue, with budgets, with cycle times. Now I have a heck of a cleanup phase. Let's roll up our sleeves because 2022 is going to start right. As I scroll down, take another look at this. Look at this. Me as an estimator, right now I have 1, 2, 4, 5 open POs on all my jobs and the applicable jobs they're on. And on these jobs, I have 2 completed, 1 completed. The open POs I have on my jobs. Jobs that are over or under budget by estimator, right? I have 22 jobs that are under budget. I have 28 jobs that are over budget. And you can even click on these and pinpoint it down to that division. As I scroll down further, this is one thing we would manage daily, right? Look at this. This is the hourly labor week to date. And if I'm just looking at this on Friday, well, you know what? I have this person booked and this person booked, I'm in trouble. I am going to miss my budget because this person's at 73 hours, this one's at 36, and these 2 are on a job for me. And I have them scheduled for tomorrow. Guess what? If you're working with project manager B who booked these people Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they're not getting the overtime rate. When they hit you as project manager A, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that overtime rate hits your jobs, not their jobs. Take a look at this for your AR report. Right here, these are the jobs, what I've invoiced, what I've collected. And this isn't based off the date invoiced in your enterprise operating system. What this is right here, this is based off when that invoice transaction happened in QuickBooks or Sage or whatever accounting software you have, right? This invoice happened 86 days ago in the accounting software. This is what business intelligence reporting brings to you. And we can help you with that. So please reach out to events at nextgearsolutions.com to inquire more about this. So I'm gonna scroll back up here to something that looks a little prettier. There you go. Okay, well, hold on. I wasn't done, sorry. Take a look at your 2021, look. You see that? 2021, I have invoiced out 857. That is that validated. I need to look at this monthly. quarterly, biannually, annually, right? I have invoiced as an estimator $857,000, or a project manager, right? Or a site super. My estimated gross profit was for 49. I'm closing out at 51, and I'm at a 72% capture rate in 2020. I'm only at a 54% capture rate right now in the month of January. Whoa, I need to step up my game. But if you're bad as dad, if your data is bad, your reporting is going to be bad. As I scroll down a little bit further, look at my 2020 cycle times. And again, yours can be 2021 to 2022. Look, my average days to on-site were 16. I have cut that down to 6. My average days to estimate written, whoa, I took a hit there. And if I'm not looking at that monthly, when we talk about validated monthly, quarterly, if I'm not looking at that monthly, and I look at that, let's say January, February, March, April, May, June, first time I look at it's June, it's too late. But if I see that at the end of January that, oh, my average time to write an estimate is 13 days, I am focusing on that. Right? And I guarantee you, if you focus on that, you know it's going to get better? Your work capture rate. Average days to approval, I took a hit in, right? We've got to validate this information. Now, take a look at this. 2020 revenue comparison. Golly, I'm up $200,000 from last year, where we are right now. Take a look at this. Now, I haven't invoiced, but that's okay. I'm over last year of what I've invoiced. But what am I looking at from a, hey, last year I missed my budget. You see that? I budgeted right now, I budgeted this, 2020, I budgeted $169,000 and I spent $187. Well, right now I've got $195,000 budgeted and I've only spent $180. Those are those goals that you have to aim for. And all of this is in your business intelligence reporting. Now you can get that in raw data, but someone's going to have to be very good at exporting it to Excel with all the formulas and the pie charts and the graphs, okay? You can get all that there. So
Matt,
in this, yes, ma'am.
We have a live question just whenever you get a second.
You have a live question?
Yeah, a question from somebody that's on the call. They essentially want us to explain the relationship with the coordinator. So like the recon side's relationship with the coordinator, and that's one I felt like might be more easily answered live than typing. So you don't have to do it right now, finish what you're talking, but I know we're getting right to the minute. So I just wanted to let you know that question was out there.
Outstanding. So if your business model is set up with a C3, right, a coordinator. So that coordinator is usually the nuts and bolts behind a recon loss, right? Ensuring the documentation, helping with the documentation, helping ensuring the subcontractors are getting online, helping the, for lack of better words, relationship with that homeowner. Because an estimator and a project manager, my goal is to increase revenue. My goal is to increase that magical word profit that isn't a bad word. So a coordinator who is usually a lot better at that relationship, hey, how did subcontractor A do? So if I have a coordinator that is reaching out to these subs to ensuring that they're getting the job on time, that the homeowner is happy, that allows me as a project manager to produce more revenue because I don't have to go do that follow-up behind every individual sub or make those phone calls 10 times a day, right? As a coordinator, I'm ensuring that my subcontractor put those photos in ProAssist, and I now have those photos where I can pay out that purchase order. Because I want this estimator out there selling. Go. I want you writing, last year you wrote 220 estimates, this year I want you to write 250. And without a coordinator helping smooth that along, it's going to be hard, right? So that relationship between that coordinator, if that's the role that you have in place, is helping us increase that revenue, increase that profit, increase that customer satisfaction, because they have an integral part of what's going on there. It's a great question. And I would love to spend some time with people on this call if you want to talk about that model. I would love to. Now I know we're right at 1 minute after, and it looks like Jesse's answered a lot of questions. I thoroughly appreciate everyone being on this call. This would not be possible without Beth Thompson. This would not be possible without Jessie Epling putting this on. So I tip my hat to both of you. And most importantly, we could not do this without everyone on this call on your end. Thank you all, because we get this information, these best practices from you. So we tip our hat to you. Thank you very much. I'll hang on for a few minutes in case there's any questions. Sure, Amy, absolutely. Hey, Cheryl. Absolutely, Nikki. Well, thank you, flood response team. Absolutely. Nicole, hi. And remember, every one of you will be getting a copy of this PDF portion and a live recording of it. Terry, absolutely. Thank you.
Matthew, Amy Shea said she would love to hear more about the coordinator versus the estimator role. If you could elaborate on anything.
Yeah, the coordinator role is usually that person that, and let's just describe from the intake of a loss, right? If you don't have a receptionist, that coordinator is intaking that lead, right? Usually an office staff person, and that coordinator intakes the lead, takes it because they are the first relationship they have. And you could have 2, 3, 4 coordinators dependent, and we have an org chart we could recommend. They take the call, they assign the estimator, the project manager. I don't know your business model. That estimator, project manager goes out there and they scope the loss, they write it, they get it approved. Coordinator's not involved anymore, right? They're really kind of in limbo because they're taking these other calls, they're scheduling these things, they're managing the jobs they have, right? Once that job gets approved, because what can a coordinator really do? They may help with the approval process, but they're not writing estimates. Once that job gets approved and we have a go-ahead from the homeowner, what we do is we go ahead and pass that job back to the coordinator with either your estimator or project manager, and we have a sit down. We talk about the selections, we talk about the progress invoice schedule, right? We talk about the subcontractor schedule, who the subs are that are scheduled on the job. And you now have 2 people that are managing the job opposed to 1. So when subcontractor A is done with their stuff, coordinator is calling subcontractor B, hey, we're going to be done on Friday with the drywall. I want to make sure you're coming in on Monday to start the flooring, right? Because you know what I have that estimator out doing? That estimator is out increasing my revenue. He's signing, this person is signing jobs up. That project manager is budgeting jobs, building my subcontractor base, ensuring that I have schedules laid out. Bobby, there, we absolutely will. So, and who do you think has the best relationship with that homeowner? Your project manager and your coordinator, right? They both do. So in that situation, that and let me, as a project manager and estimator, sometimes we are grunts. We are just kind of not. And if something is not to the standard of the homeowner, they may not tell us because we're not. Well, we're not as appeasing to talk to as a coordinator. We're just not. And when something's going wrong, they talk to that coordinator, and coordinator A calls up homeowner and says, hey, Mrs. Epling, how did everything go today? I understand that the drywall went in. I want to make sure it was to your standard. I understand it's a little dusty. We will come clean it up. And I've got the photos from your sub, and it looks like we are ready to start the flooring. Well, there may be something that they left the lights on, they left the door unlocked, or they went to the restroom and the house stinks, right? They pass that information along to the coordinator probably a little bit easier than they do to the project manager, because the communication is, one, more frequent, and it's a different type of communication. It's not in person, right? And then that coordinator kind of helps that role get all the way to the COS. And there's a certain amount of volume that coordinator should have, and it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. Usually it's a 1-to-3 ratio, 1 coordinator per 3 project managers. And that coordinator role, who's usually at the office, managing their reports, their dashboards, who they are better at. They are going to be better at managing that aspect of it. They are also helping with the roots of the job. Have we done the weekly update? Do we have the work authorization? Does the homeowner sign the COS? Is the Gantt chart still in line? It really takes a little ease off your project managers and your estimators to help them, one, as an estimator, go increase my revenue. Go get to your 2 million. I've seen some estimators at 5 million in revenue. Like I've seen some estimators, I've seen one at 6 million in revenue. I've seen some project managers that what they're responsible for running jobs doing 2.5 million because they have a staff with them. They have the subcontractors, they have the in-house team members, they have coordinators helping them. So can I take a hit for $45,000 a year to hire a coordinator and increase $200,000 of revenue with my estimator? 40% of that with my project manager, right? So that's kind of the coordinator role. I see a question. What are your thoughts with Gantt charts being used on projects? Best to use on all large loss only. I love Gantt charts. I do stuff on the side where I flip houses and I'm not in, so that's easy to do a Gantt chart in, right? It's not as easy to do a Gantt chart in restoration. I do love, and I think we need to stay away from that verbiage Gantt chart. It's more of a scheduler, because the same person doing my drywall might also be doing my demo, might also be doing my trim out, and 5 other trades happen in the meantime. My HVAC person may be doing my drywall. So I love the idea of a schedule that we can present to the homeowner. And we do have, Adam, we do have Gantt calendar mapping. I don't know if you're aware of it. I love that idea, but we call it a scheduler. It allows you to adjust the time frames on a schedule. It allows you to adjust who's going. It allows you to make adjustments on the fly. Our schedule capabilities, from seeing a job laid out from beginning to end, has leaps and bounds in the last 2 years. And to me, the best part about our scheduler is, dependent upon your database being set up correctly, and you may need to spend some time with me to do it. If I'm a new project manager and I hit schedule, it's going to lay out the life cycle of the construction job. So brand new project manager A has an idea of the way I should schedule out my loss. Doesn't matter if it's 2,000 or 200,000. So we have that. We have that Gantt calendar mapping. It's hard to associate the word Gantt in insurance restoration. Unless you're going commercial, it could get a little bit better. But I love the idea, and to me, it doesn't matter if it's 2,000 or 200,000. Okay. And in that, I would also say that I would pick and choose what I send to the homeowner, right? If I have a $200,000 loss, I'm only showing them a schedule for a month at a time. By no means am I showing what's happening next November. That the cabinets are going in next November? Absolutely not, because you're going to hold me to that, and there's many things that could stop that. So we give you that capability. When I say mapping, I mean, let's say I could route my day by job. Oh, that's a pretty good, cool. Adam, I would like to have some sidebar conversation with you on that.
And hey, Matthew, so his question was, when I say mapping, he essentially wants routes for day to day. Could you go into a regular database and show him how to submit an idea? So like in help and training, in that section, if you scroll down towards the bottom, there's a section that just says submit your idea. So if there is something that you want Dash to do that it doesn't do, our development team kind of runs off of a ticketing system called AHA. So you can actually go in there and you can create that as an idea, and other people can vote on it. The idea being, the things that are getting the most votes are going to get the most attention from our dev team. I think that's a great idea, and I would definitely love to see that as something that gets submitted. It's certainly something I would go vote on.
So I have to put in a personal email address for me. because I can't, thank you, Amy. My AHA would look a little different than yours, Adam. Someone put in some fake names, Matthew. I don't want to do Matthew. Let's do my daughter's name, Peyton. So what this allows you to go in, if I register for this, so if you look at this, what you're talking about, and I don't know if you're familiar with this, Adam, we can filter this by the products that we own that are that are restoration related, right? You can also filter by consideration. You can filter by my request. Now it's going to ask you to confirm it, and you can create your own, right? But I would always search to see if it's there first. And the more votes we get on something, the more likely we are to do it. And that's the truth. We have a complete AHA department that this is where product lives. And you're going to see, consider here, this is big right now. This is huge. If you are on a con and you're doing USAA work, they have come up with a client-specific email that if you email, it's got to have this email address in it that's associated to that claim number and to that division. It's not the same with a PDRP and the water assignment, right? So we are considering putting a USAA-specific option in job creation or editing the job. So when you default an email, it's there. Now we have ways around it right now. So Adam, what she's referring to is, I would vote on this, right? The more votes we get, the more likely we are to do it. And you can come in here and see all the things. Now I would take a look at like the release, because this is going to give you an option of, whoa, I didn't know y'all released this, right? Changing the individual company to a commercial company and vice versa. So that's what she's referring to, the AHA. And then we dig in, we look at it, and we build it out. I appreciate all of y'all being on the call. If we have no further questions, we are going to close it out. Jessie, Beth, is that you or is that me?
That is me. I got it. Thanks, everybody.
Bye,
Appreciate
everybody.
you, Matthew and Jessie. This was great.
Thank
Everybody
you all.
have a good
Happy
day.
Friday.